Hi everybody. So I know that my channel is mostly for French speaking people because I used to do jewelry tutorials in French, even though I did some stuff in English that you can find in the playlist on my channel. But you know what? Even though it's brand new, I think it's good. Like the idea that I have right now is sort of brand new to me right now. But I thought it would be also a good opportunity to kind of introduce myself to the English people speaking, like English speaking people rather, coming to the channel to kind of introduce myself again because I haven't done that in a long time. And I think this is will be the kind of baseline video that I can send to people or maybe even kind of share on social networks and stuff to present what I do. If you want to know a bit more about what I do, my background story, so to speak. This channel was mostly dedicated to sharing, like I was saying, YouTube videos about jewelry tutorials and everything surrounding the jewelry making process. And as I went through the years, I realized that I'm at a point now where I don't want to do that anymore. And I want to be able to solely focus on creating stuff. And the thing is, when you like to create things like I do, like drawing and mostly jewelry and drawing are my two kind of main things I like to do, you realize that by default you also turn into a content creator for social networks and YouTube and all those other platforms. And you kind of feel like, at least from my perspective, you feel kind of that you got kind of screwed in a way because you like doing what you do, but content creation and sharing it and making it look pretty, with little flowers and ribbons is not my thing. So it's something that I'm still struggling with, but it's the name of the game when you don't know people in the industry, in my industry, the jewelry or the art industry, when you're pretty much a nobody in the ocean of wannabe artists and jewelry makers out there, and the more established artists and jewelry brands. You kind of have to play the game, but you have to kind of playing it in smarter way, because you don't want to spend tons of money on promotion. You want to be able to keep the vibe that you have when you create, even though it's really hard to kind of transfer that into kind of pre-packed content that have to be a certain length of time and certain dimensions, and also the regularity at which you have to kind of post is something that doesn't really float my boat, so to speak, but it's part of the game. And I'm like, I think I came at a point where I want to be able to touch more people and to broaden my horizons, so to speak. And sticking to French people, French countries or Europe, I feel it's too limiting. And the fact that I do speak English is a very big asset I have. And from now on, I think I will mostly post here in English. And I kind of feel also that I still want to experiment some things. I think I'm going to try to make a new concept that will come out soon, where I can draw or make the jewelry, and instead of putting a crappy sort of background sound from the YouTube library that is copyright free so we can actually make money and monetize the videos, I'm just going to talk about subjects that I find interesting. And so of course I'm not going to revolutionize the kind of talk and raw or talk and jewelry making videos out there already. There are artists that do that already, but I feel that we're all kind of unique in the sense that we don't make the same stuff and we don't talk about the same things in the same way. So I feel that I have an avenue in front of me to do whatever I want when it comes to basically talk about what I want, drawing and making the jewelry I want. Also the fact of being able to kind of be in the process of creating something is a good way to kind of show you how I do my work without perhaps showing you all the kind of secrets behind it, even though they are not really secrets, just some of craftsmanship when it comes to jewelry and making art. I mean, it's just like practice and being inspired. There's no secret recipe for becoming, I believe, a good artist. You just have to observe and to do stuff, But I wanted to talk about subject that I feel I would not be able to. First of all, I never thought I would dare myself to talk about, because I want to also be able to Basically, you can listen to the videos as podcast, and if you don't care about the crafting process, you don't have to watch it. You can just listen, or if you want to just like get through with me and finish a drawing or a piece of jewelry and listen what I have to say on topics. I feel that we talk a lot, and we tend to really be able to talk about a variety of subjects now, and there's less taboos. We can talk more freely about many things, but somehow there are still subjects that nobody fucking talks about, because I think there are really big stigmas around it. And I thought I wanted to talk about it because I also opened up a secondary channel, which is Agnès Wong Off. You can actually follow me there if you want, because I'll try to post some English content videos. But I know from experience that YouTube doesn't like when you mix stuff up. If you speak English and you start posting in English and in French and and you start publishing about different subjects, usually it's not something that's kind of YouTube friendly. So I'm still going to give it a try because why not? But I think that from now on, I'll mostly post about crafting jewelry, making art, and if you want to purchase the things I create, you can go on my website and talk about subjects that I find important. And not even important is I'm not kind of, I don't have a fucking PhD in psychology, so what I say will sometimes perhaps be pretty random, and, people talk about everything doesn't mean that they're smart about it or that what they have to say is relevant. But I wanted to be able to, I think it's also therapeutic and cathartic to be able to just take the mic, say what you have to say, voice over the art you just done, and edit everything very simply and smoothly and let people hear the message. And because I've realized this past several weeks actually that the power of sharing, when it's honest, when it's not edited, when it's I don't like the word authentic, but I would say that comes from the gut would be rather more an appropriate term, I suppose. Like just being able to share the message, but not with the intent to condemn people or talk badly about certain things or just pretend that you have all the answers, but you just send a message and people do what they want with it. I think it's much more enriching to be able to just question yourself through what you hear instead of having somebody kind of spooning you what you should be thinking, the kind of self-help format on YouTube, the 5 things you have to do for that, the 5 things you have to do for this, watch out for that behavior, for this behavior. I'm not in the self-help thing. I'm just in, it's for me the prolongation of creation through talking, even if sometimes the subject I'll probably be broaching will be pretty random. But yeah, it's my kind of therapy, doing stuff, creating stuff, and being able to talk about subjects that I feel could potentially just, talking of my own experience could maybe be also helpful for other people to do the same, because there's stuff that it's hard to talk about. Like I know that the first actual English video I want to do is about how my mother bullied me my entire life. So it's not the type of stuff where I would be like in front of the camera saying, yo, this is story time, this is my life. It's a bit kind of, I'm a bit prude in the sense I'm prude with my feelings, and but I feel that it's also cathartic to be able to freaking say what our truth and the kind of things we carry, and to just let them in the world and not caring about what people have to say about it. Just the fact of putting out there makes it kind of, it's not within you, kind of festering and kind of gangrene, in your mind and in your body. So I'll see. I want to talk also about aging. I want to talk about plastic surgery, and I want to talk about being a woman that is childless and that doesn't know if she wants to have children. I would like to talk about all those things that have been talked about, but just maybe with another approach. And yeah, relationships and compatibility in love, and why sometimes and most of the times love is not enough, and even getting a freaking puppy, the things I never even thought of before, prior to actually getting into it, and pretty simple, like simple life. And so on the other channel, Agnès Fong Off, I also wanted to talk about life experiences, but more in a more practical way. So I'll see how that works out, because doing everything in both languages would be way too tiring for me to just translate everything. And plus, I would lose that sort of kind of impulse, so I cannot redo things in French and English, and I don't speak and think the same way, and I don't usually approach things the same in English, and kind of English not being my native language helps me to kind of be able to distance myself from what I'm talking about, which is much more convenient for me when I talk about stuff that are actually maybe a bit of the heavier side subjects, So we'll see. You can follow me if you want. And I think I've kind of explained who I was through what I've just said, but I'm a self-taught silversmith and goldsmith, and I always liked creating things with my hands, and drawing was a big part of I wouldn't say my childhood, but I've always liked the idea of creating things and drawing, even though I wasn't really good at it. And then I enrolled in a art school, so I kind of started to get, the basics, and then I stopped to just go full-time jewelry because studying wasn't really my thing, and it was costing money, and I wasn't sure that the career that I was gonna, like, when I graduated, I wasn't sure of the outcome. I didn't want to really graduate in the things I was studying. So I just decided to go on my own from there and start learning. And so I learned jewelry making. Like later, when I say later, I've only started wax carving about 2 years ago, but starting to really get into it like this year and a bit of last year. And realized that I hated the kind of conventional way of crafting jewelry. And wax was like my savior, like my kind of rebound thing, because I was really conflicted within. I loved making jewelry. I hated the techniques I was using. Then wax carving came along, and I started to learn and watch videos on YouTube, and realized that it was something that felt more natural to me to do. And on top of that was me wanting to make art, but somehow a part of me was not allowing me to do it. And I don't think it's like imposter syndrome, because I feel that I'm shit at what I do when I don't have the skills, because I did my 2 years of art things in school, so I know that I don't suck, but a part of me couldn't actually believe that it was possible to make a living by creating art. And I still don't know if it's possible, because I know it happened to other people, and I know a guy whose father is actually a quite well-known painter in south of France and is making a living out of it. But it feels that you kind of have to be privileged. Culture is a sort of privilege, and to be able to make a living out of it, you kind of need to get known, in this domain. I guess like in every domain, but I think art is a very specific sort of niche where, if you want to really get well known for what you do, you have to work, you have to promote yourself. It's like it turns into a sort of weird side business of promotion. And like I said at the beginning, this is definitely not my cup of tea. So I thought that I was going to try to do what I can. And I kind of drifted. But the main thing is, like, I don't really know why it's so hard for me to actually get down and do my art, because I think it's so easy for me to do that a part of me feels that it's too easy. So why the hell would I bother? And it's an ongoing process for me to work on that. But I think actually doing videos for YouTube could be a great motivation to be like, yo, do your thing. Who cares if you finish, if you don't, if you think it's pretty, if you think it sucks, just make it. And then you'll have the luxury of, intellectualizing the whole thing. But yeah, getting down to doing things is also what motivates me, and I give it some thought. And from now on, the channel will be mostly, I think, in English. The content will be more kind of international orientated, because the plan is not to stay stuck in south of France for the rest of my life. I've always wanted to basically live in America, but with everything that's happening right now, I don't know if it's the right time to do so. But I've always been fascinated by the States, and it was or the States or Canada. And I know I don't want to stay in France for my entire life. I know my heart will always be in south of France. That's where I spent most of my life. But I know that the plan is not to stay here, and kind of my intuition rather, is telling me start kind of trying to aim bigger and target a more English speaking audience, and really kind of start showing your work instead of hiding a bit, and being apprehensive of something I don't even know what it is, to be honest. That's something that every people who create stuff or have to kind of do public things maybe go through. But I thought it was a lack of self-esteem. To be honest, I don't think that's it. I think it's more the fear of actually showing things and talking about things that are personal, and feeling that maybe it's not good enough. So it would be more the perfectionist kind of, what if people tell me that what I do fucking sucks? And then again, who cares, So yeah, I think it's a mix of many limiting beliefs that I'm trying to entangle at the moment. And yeah, I think it's a great challenge for me, and I love speaking in English. It's a good way to practice also pronunciation and being able to see if I can come up with stuff. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun kind of turn. I need a change, and I know that 2026 is kind of the year where I got smacked in the face like nobody, like nobody before me, and I felt I went through the wrangler. Do you say that? There's an expression in English, actually. I don't remember it, but tumbler of the washing machine, like the thing. So, and I think sometimes when you go through those things, it's because life is trying to kind of shake you up, so you kind of move your ass and do something about it. And I think that this year is the year where I need to move my ass and start doing things, because I'm just there watching other people's content and being inspired and enjoying, art and stuff. But being passive is a very sort of dangerous path to walk on, because you see everybody else, you see them making much more shit than you do, and you start comparing yourself to them even if you don't want to, kind of unconsciously, and then you start wondering if you'll ever be able to make anything. So it's a kind of vicious cycle of sort of procrastination, to be honest. So yeah, I want to break that goddamn thing. And I know that there's a lot of family heritage also around it, like my dad is Asian dad, you're going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a doctor. You don't have a third choice, would be engineer, in the tech, preferably. So I know that I went against what he thought would be best for me. And my mother's side are kind of failed artists that were massively talented but did nothing with it and were incapable of making money with it. So yeah, I think it's a personal journey for me. Everybody has their own unique path. And for me, I think it's time to fucking burn this to the ground and make my own way and carve my own destiny, as kind of cranky as it sounds. But yeah, I think it's time for me to burn down all the stuff from my heritage, my family heritage, my lineage that actually doesn't serve me. And that's why I want to make those uncomfortable videos where I talk about shit that I want to talk about but I actually don't know if I can talk about. and make those freaking drawings and make those freaking jewelry, this freaking jewelry that I'm always thinking about making, but then never end up actually finishing, you know? So I need to move my ass. And it's something that I thought I had the luxury of time. I realize I don't. And basically, who has the luxury of time, you know? So yeah, this is me. This is my channel. Thanks for the people that have heard me rambling until now. And I'll be back for the first actual video, probably next week. And yeah, it's time to get going with the English content stuff. And of course, you can find me on Instagram, all that. I try to post, but saying that I do it regularly would be a lie. But yeah, so here we go with my crappy shirt, my lucky shirt, actually. And I'll see you around for the next one in a couple of days.